Okay, so here's how I balance equations. There's not a right or wrong way. You just have to sort of figure out how to do it. I always start with the thing that's most complicated. Very first thing, actually, rewrite the chemical equation so it's easy to see. Don't try to do it on that worksheet because I think you'll run out of space. At least I find that confusing. So I start with the most complicated one and I start counting my atoms. And so I just compare. So Ag, I have 1 because remember, if there's no subscript given, it's automatically assumed there's like a invisible 1 there. So I have 1 Ag and 1 Ag. So that checks off. So now I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to look at N, and I'm going to look over here at N. I have 1 in here, but remember the rule is the subscript applies to everything inside the parentheses. So that means that I have 2 N's on this side. So I'm like, how can I fix that? Well, if I put a 2 coefficient in front of here, then I have the camera falls. Hold on. Okay, back to the real video now. So I have 2, that was the humor part of the video. So there's 2 nitrogens here, and I put my coefficient here. Now I have 2 here. Now that means that my AGs are no longer balanced, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to keep using my same method. So I'm going to look here and I'm going to say, okay, I have O, and I have 3 of them, but remember I've now added this coefficient, so that means I have 6. So let me go check on this side. I get 6 on this side. Now I'm like, okay, let me go and check. What have I not checked? My coppers. I've got 1 copper here. I've got 1 copper here. So here's the last thing that I do. I sit here and I say, okay, I remembered that my AGs were no longer balanced. So I have 2 AGs now. I can get 2 by putting a coefficient here. The last step is I would list your elements. And sometimes teachers will have you do this first. Just depends on what you think makes most sense. So here, copper, I'm going to check. I have 1 here. Ag, I have 2. N, remember, I have 2 because the coefficient applies to everything in this chemical equation, or in this chemical formula. And then 2 times 3, that's 6. Now I'm going to check on this side. I have 1 copper, 2 silvers, Ag, 2 NOs, and then I should have 6 oxygens. And you'll notice that they're both equal on either side. Okay? See if that works.